some feeling that the image quality wasn't as high as they wanted it to be. That's a bullshit thing to say. We're going to get to what he says right here because it's pretty brutal. Guys, what is going on? It is your old pal CHH here today. So today, guys, we're going to talk about some pretty interesting news, to say the least. Today we're talking about James Cameron going ham on us, basically the people that watch and review his movies on 4K, but really a particular group that have been very vocal about what he's done with his movies. I'm not excluding myself. I've had concerns. Obviously, I haven't flat out said F James Cameron or anything, but you know, what we're going to do is going to look at what he said. There's actually a bit of context I want to talk about when it comes to the question being asked, which is where I also have a problem with this whole thing and kind of just what to expect with this whole thing. So long story short, if you're not sure where this is coming from, I think this really started right here with Terminator 2's 4K UHD. Now, I avoided this 4K, to be honest with you, for a long time. I eventually picked this up because the Steelbook was so cool I couldn't say no. But long story short, this looks like it's like a video game almost. It's so shined up. There's no natural film grains, anything like that. And it really rubbed people the wrong way. You can look up the reviews for this 4K, guys. The 4K reviews are not good. They're not good whatsoever. So everybody was super nervous when it came to these three 4Ks. Now, I've done reviews for all three of these. The one that was the most contentious was definitely True Lies. All the faces look like they've been cleaned up and filtered. Everything has this really weird. I have to go back and watch my review, but like you can tell that alterations were done to this. You know, that was bad. I actually gave a positive review to Aliens, but I got a little bit of flack for that. My thing was, did he take away the film grain of the look and everything? Yes, but did the film still look filmic to me? Did it look digital? No, I didn't find this 4K to look digital whatsoever. I really didn't. I bought these. I don't have to fake anything. What I got to say about this review? I liked the way this 4K looked. I'm not saying it's better than the quadrilogy set, but I thought this one looked pretty good. But still, the film grain was pretty much gone, but it still looked filmic. And the Abyss, again, I thought the Abyss looked good. Not great, but out of the three, I think it was the most consistent looking one with the way most film fans would have appreciated any of those to look. So a lot of negativity around that. So we've got an interview with James Cameron that we're going to look at an excerpt of. Now, this was just a small portion of an interview. We're going to read his response to basically what is your thoughts on the criticism. But I also found something that shows the question being asked, which is where I have a bigger issue. So guys, let's get started. Let's look at this. So I've got darkhorizons.com, where they got a little bit of this information here. And you can even see right here, this was a image of, you know, what we were dealing with the 4K of True Lies. All the faces are just like AI looking. You know, look at the hair. The hair looks almost fake on the people in the 4K. You can look at Tom Arnold right there, and his hair just looks AI, you know, which is where you can really see some of the issues, much less on the faces, right? So big issues there. So this was part of an interview that was done by THR, I believe. So speaking with THR, here we go. We're going to get to what he says right here because it's pretty brutal. Speaking with THR about his new documentary series, Cameron was asked about the poor reaction to the Aliens 4K disc, and he didn't mince words. So this was specifically to Aliens, which I find weird to begin with. I think the big one people would want to talk about would be True Lies, but whatever. Okay, here we go. This is from James Cameron himself. When people start reviewing your grain structure, they need to move out of mom's basement and meet somebody, right? I'm serious. I mean, are you effing kidding me? I've got a great team that does the transfers. I do all the color and density work. I look at every shot, every frame, and then the final transfer is done by a guy who has been with me for years. All the Avatar films are done that way. Everything is done that way. Get a life, people. Seriously. So a lot to break down there. What's so bizarre about this whole thing to me is this. Number one, for a guy that you know Cameron is a painstaking detail kind of guy, it's weird for him to be such this film lover that didn't go to college and actually got himself a free education by just going up to the universities and going in the library and basically reading books. It's actually brilliant what he did. You know, he learned everything as much as he could on his own while he was driving a truck. He was a family man and all that. For a guy to be that painstaking into all that, it's weird to watch his 4Ks because despite what he's saying here, when you watch these 4Ks, especially like Terminator 2, you would feel the exact opposite. Because here's what I want James Cameron to realize. But my issue is also not with what Cameron said, but what the questioner said, the interviewer said. But it's the irony is how I feel like his movies almost don't really look like somebody who has painstaking detail into everything. But the fact of the matter is, you know, not everybody is into film grain. And I think the reality is Cameron isn't. That's not what he wants, you know? So there's going to be a section of the audience watching this video that may be in the comments and they'll say, you know what? I respect it because, you know, I'll say this. I did a video talking about how Kino Lorber, who I love Kino. I do. I like Kino Lorber, but I wanted to talk about the sleepaway camp situation a while back because people were always wondering what that's about. Kino said, they bought a lot of MGM movies, right? And they were given flack because they were putting out one MGM movie that was supposedly a bad movie. And then somebody says, oh, you'll put out this, but you won't put out Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. And Kino's response was, well, this movie's never had a Blu-ray release, and we bought all those movies in an MGM purchase. Those crappy movies, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, already have Blu-ray releases. So we're not putting out that crap. A lot of people actually in those comments, you can see the post I had said, respect for actual honesty. And maybe you reading this right now, if you're that same person, you could say, you know what? Respect. I'm glad that Cameron didn't even remotely hold back. He's basically saying, F you guys, get a life. I don't have to agree with everything. And I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's gotten the true picture of this whole thing. I think if he looked into it, he would see a passionate home video market of people like us that are really into film and the preservation of it. And I think if he really looked into it, he sees the majority of us aren't saying F James Cameron, F you, F you. It's just like, listen, we'd really like to see these films look the way they looked in the theaters, that sort of thing. But I think what happens is these questions are set up in a negative way. What we're going to get to now, I'm sorry, I can't talk today. So that's his response. But let's look at the way it was questioned to him, okay? So I found this. I tried to find the actual article, and I had some issues with that, guys. So let's actually look at the way it was questioned to him. I think this is important. Like I said, I couldn't actually find the interview. You may have to pay for it, but check this out. So this is the way it was questioned to James. So you've also had recently the 4K transfers of Aliens and True Lies that came out. It did get blowback in the fam community, some feeling that the image quality wasn't as high as they wanted it to be. You obviously have a very high standard, so I'm wondering what you thought. Okay, I have a few problems with this question. The way it's phrased, some feeling that the image quality wasn't as high as they wanted it to be. That's a bullshit thing to say. You can't watch those. Nobody, I don't think anybody's watching those 4Ks and saying the image quality isn't good. It's in a direction that is against the way film preservationists want. They want these movies to look like they did in the theater. That's a shitty way to ask that question. You're already asking the question to get James Cameron to respond in an explosive way instead of asking it in a way that there's a big fan community, film fan community that buys your movies that are really wanting them to kind of have the look of the way they were in the theaters. You obviously went in a different direction. What are your thoughts? I guarantee you Cameron's answer wouldn't have been that explosive. You obviously have a very high standard. The question is the real enemy here, guys. That's the reason I wanted to talk about this. It's the question that's the real enemy, right? That's what I don't like about this. You obviously have a very high standard, so I'm wondering your thoughts. So I don't know. At the end of the day, guys, the reality is in this article, I did get another glimpse of it. At the end of the day, we did see, and I did see in the article that Terminator is coming out in December. That's supposed to be coming out in December. Whether it's the actual home video release or if it's the theater release. I think the theater release is kind of already creeping out in some places. I'm assuming it's going to be the 4K release. Just It's going to look probably like Aliens did or The Abyss. Probably not so much True Lies. Rumor has it that the True Lies release actually had some issues with the print itself, which is why they went more overboard than the other ones. Aliens and Abyss did not really look like True Lies. True Lies was a different ball of wax altogether. I know if you go back and watch my reviews and a lot of people's reviews, you probably hear the same thing. So I don't know, guys. I'm doing this because I'm more so interested in what you guys think about this whole thing. I'm interested to see what you guys think. And I actually think it's probably going to be 50-50. I think half of the people will say, no, you know what? He's right. And other people will say, he's, there's always this argument of when you release something into the public, it belongs to the people. This is why Star Wars fans have this love-hate relationship with George Lucas. They want those movies back out the way they were originally made, but it's his creation, so he feels he can do with it what he wants. So this is kind of the same thing in a smaller scale. So I'm wondering how you guys feel about this whole thing. Me personally, I feel like I'm split down the middle. Like, I do want these films to look like the way they did with the natural film grain and all that. As a 4K person, I love that, and I've grown accustomed to that, and that's what I like. And at the same time, though, I also understand where James is coming from, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like it's a cop-out answer. I really do. I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like I need to pick a side, and my side is I wish the question would have been asked a different way. James, you have people that are your customers that are big film fan enthusiasts and love the look of natural film grain, and they love the look of 35 millimeter film. You obviously go in a different direction with your restorations. Can you explain why? You would have got a different answer than that, and we would have gotten more clarity on the way he thinks, right? That's the kicker. We would have got more clarity on the way he thinks had it been asked a different way. So the question was bullshit. The question was bullshit. It was already getting him fired up to get angry. You obviously have a higher standard of picture quality, and they weren't as high a quality as people wanted it. That's bullshit. So I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. This is your old pal CHH, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.